I'm not here to tell you that you need a solicitor for probate, and I'm not here to tell you that you should do it yourself either. What I'm going to do is walk you through when using a solicitor actually makes sense, when it doesn't, and what I've seen go wrong in real life when people choose the wrong approach. Because I've seen people pay thousands unnecessarily, and I've seen others try to do it themselves and end up under a lot more pressure than they expected. From what I've seen in real life, many of the biggest issues don't come from complex legal edge cases. They come from a combination of practical pressure and getting things slightly wrong along the way. And the frustrating part is you often only realise this once you're already in the middle of it. So let me walk you through this properly. First, the pressure side, then the technical side, and then how to actually decide what's right for you. Let's start with the part most people don't expect, the pressure. One of the most common situations I see is pressure from beneficiaries. Executors get chased constantly. They get accused of holding things up, sometimes even accused of dishonesty or foul play, and often nothing has actually gone wrong. It's just that the probate registry is slow and beneficiaries don't understand that. But the executor is the one dealing with that pressure. And this is where people start to realise probate isn't just paperwork. By the way, this is exactly what I help people with. I work with people going through probate to figure out what actually makes sense in their situation and to find the right support and resources, whether they decide to do it themselves or use a solicitor. I'll come back to how to think about that properly later in the video, but just so you know, the help is there. Another issue I see a lot is expectations. Beneficiaries often expect far more information than they're actually entitled to, which creates tension. And the executor ends up stuck in the middle trying to manage that. Then there's the workload. People often think probate is just filling in a form. It isn't. It's dealing with banks, insurance companies, pension providers, the DWP, all while usually holding down a job and managing everything else in life. And for a lot of people, this is the point where they think, actually, I don't want to deal with all of this myself. There's also the practical responsibility. I've seen situations where executors haven't properly secured a property. People assume they can come in and take items, or they access the property when they shouldn't. And that can lead to disputes very quickly. If something goes wrong, it's the executor who is accountable. That's what people don't always appreciate at the start. Then you've got the technical side, which people often underestimate, understanding the will properly, or dealing with intestacy if there isn't one, working out who is entitled to what and in what order. Then there's inheritance tax. Even when no tax is payable, some estates still require full reporting. And once you get into areas like trusts, gifts, or more complex assets, it becomes much easier to get things wrong. I've seen situations where people misunderstand how a will actually operates. Assets are dealt with incorrectly, or tax reporting isn't handled properly. And those mistakes aren't always easy to fix afterwards. Most people can do it, but if you get it wrong, it slows everything down and can create bigger problems later. And this is where, for the right type of estate, a solicitor can be well worth the cost. In particular, you should strongly consider using a solicitor if there are trusts involved, inheritance tax complexity, multiple properties, or more complex assets. There's uncertainty around who is entitled, or any risk of dispute between family members. That's where mistakes can become expensive or stressful to deal with. They don't just deal with the legal side, they act as a buffer. They handle communication, they take responsibility for the process, and they remove a lot of pressure from the executor. But it's important to be balanced, because I've also seen many estates where people have paid thousands of pounds when they didn't need to. Simple estate, one beneficiary, everything agreed, very few assets. In those situations, probate can often be handled yourself with the right structure and support. Another thing people don't always realise is this: just because a solicitor or probate professional is named as executor in the will, that doesn't mean they have to act. They can be asked to step aside, so you can deal with it yourself if that makes more sense. And most people don't realise this either. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to choose between doing everything yourself or handing everything over. You might get a solicitor to handle just the probate application, use a solicitor for the conveyancing only, or get a professional review before you submit anything. That kind of hybrid approach works very well for a lot of people. It's also worth saying solicitors vary a lot. Some are excellent, fast, clear, proactive, and good value. Others can be slow, difficult to communicate with, and expensive for what they do. So choosing the right firm matters. So, how do you actually decide what's right for you? This is where most people get it wrong. They try to make a yes no decision too early. Instead of asking, should I use a solicitor? A better question is, how complex is the estate? How much time do I realistically have? And how much pressure am I willing to take on? Because that's what this really comes down to. If you're not sure where your situation sits, that's exactly what I help with. I offer a 30-minute call where we go through your situation and work out whether doing it yourself makes sense, or whether you'd be better off using a solicitor. If you do need one, I can also point you towards a good firm that I trust. And if you're leaning towards doing it yourself, I've also put together a full step-by-step guide covering the entire probate and estate administration process. You'll find all of that linked below. Wherever you are in the process, I do wish you the very best.